and welcome. This is Andrew Chelney, one half of Liberty Blue, and I wanted to hop on here real quick just for a few minutes here. Let's preview Game 6. Let's take a deep breath here. I want everybody to collectively take a breather and really think about the implications of this game, because you come into Game 4 and the Hurricanes obviously brought it all in the first period. They were up 2 goals. Rangers scored the second goal. They scored the third goal. It's a tie game, and then Brady Shea scores on the power play. The game is over. Okay, that's fine. You get to Game 5, and the Rangers somehow got Jacob Trouba to score a shorthanded 2-on-1 goal to score the only goal through 2 periods, and the Rangers were 20 minutes away from advancing to the conference finals. Everybody goes home happy, except for Carolina, of course. And off we go into the sunset, waiting for whoever it is, whether it be Florida or Boston. And then came that third period, where I think it was Roslovic in the neutral zone who skated. I forget who had the puck in the neutral zone for Carolina, but he kind of skated by him, didn't do much of anything to prevent him from playing the puck. And the pass to Jordan Staal, Braden Schneider got caught. He didn't really know what to do. He got caught kind of not moving a whole lot, and Jordan Staal went in and looked like the Jordan Staal that we saw a number of years ago, beat Shesterkin, and then on the onslaught came for Carolina. And it was a masterclass of a third period for the Hurricanes, and it was the exact opposite for the Rangers. It was embarrassing. It was just, it didn't look good on any fronts. On top of that, not just 5-on-5, but Carolina has done a phenomenal job of stopping the Rangers' power play. I know Carolina has had a terrific penalty kill all season long. The Rangers seemingly figured it out the first 3 games of the series, and now Carolina has made their adjustments, and the Rangers need to readjust. Whatever they have been doing the last couple of games clearly isn't working. Carolina now much more aggressive on the puck handler. They're not letting the Rangers set up. Even the dump-ins, Carolina is chasing after the puck carrier, after the puck. They are not giving the Rangers any kind of space to maneuver in the offensive zone. And the Rangers really need to do a better job of counterattacking that play. If the Hurricanes are sending 2 in deep, okay, well then you send 2, maybe you send 3, you send one on the front of the net, you send one on the point, and to protect the break. And if that happens, and then off you go. I want to see some kind of adjustment here on the power play. Obviously, I would think that Peter Laviolette, after a 2-day break, which hasn't happened yet this series, I think this 2-day break, does favor the Rangers, because all the momentum right now is on Carolina. With Carolina. They won Game 4. They won Game 5. They won Game 5 so much so that the Rangers fans in attendance were booing. And I saw a tweet the other day, and I tweeted about this as well. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have booed the Rangers, like all these things. It's like, wait, hold on a second. Hold on. You're telling me that, let's say I was there. Let's say I paid a lot of money to be there on Monday. I paid, hypothetically, I don't know, $500 or $300, $400, however much money it is, for a ticket to enter the building to watch the game. It was 1-0 for 40 minutes. It was good. They played well. The Hurricanes had nothing. And then the Rangers come out and play that kind of third period to close out Game 5? And now you let the Hurricanes back in the series? And now you have to go to Raleigh to play a Game 6? Yeah, of course I'd boo. First of all, don't ever dictate who can boo and who cannot boo. If I paid hundreds of dollars to go see this team potentially close out a playoff series, and they played that poorly, you have all the right in the world to boo. If they lost by, 2-1 off of two ridiculous bounces, but the Rangers looked good. They played well. That's a different story. Of course you don't boo. But the Rangers fans in attendance rightfully booed because of how horrid the Rangers played in that third period. It was so bad it warranted the boos. And it's funny to me that some people agreed with that initial tweet. It's like, oh, the Rangers were 7-0, and though they lost a couple of games, and now all of a sudden the Rangers fans are booing the team. Oh, how dare they? It's like no. They're not booing because they lost the game. They're booing because the Rangers decided to pack it in, and they didn't show up, and they didn't skate, they didn't back check. The defense was an atrocity in those final 20 minutes. Of course you boo. Yeah. You have all the right to do that because of how awful the effort was in those final 20 minutes. Now, I really expect to see the Rangers not just play better. I mean, the bar is literally not even on the floor, is below the floor to play better than that third period, sure. But I want to see Panarin get going. Game 4, he had a bad game. And Game 5, he had a bad game. He was non-existent in Game 5 at all. And I tweeted about this earlier today. If you really wanted some of the heart votes, if you really want to paint yourself, and I'm not saying Panarin is doing this, but let's just come with me here for a second. If you want to see yourself as the MVP of the team because you played so well the entire season, you put up 1 million points, leading the team by a country mile, the best forward on the ice. Should he have gotten Hart votes? Probably should have. He was that good. Where is that the last couple of games? I want to see Panarin exploding here in Game 6. You want the Hart Trophy. You want to prove people wrong. You want to show to everybody that, hey, I am a playoff performer. I want to really show out here. Yeah, he's scored a few big goals. He's got the Game 3 overtime winner. That's awesome, and I want to see him do that again. The last couple of games, the Rangers have lost. The team has looked bad, and because the team has looked bad, Panarin has looked even worse by comparison, because if he's supposed to be the team MVP and he's non-existent, that's not a good look. I really want to see Panarin come out here and have a massive Game 6. I want to see him skating, as fast as we know that he can, with the passing and the shooting that we know that he can make, and the shots that he can make as well. We've seen it. He has all the talent in the world. He's not just in the regular season, but in the playoffs, he's played well for the most part. These past couple of games, hasn't really done much of anything. And Game 6 is where I really expect number 10 to show up. This should be a big game for him. Because if he doesn't show up, or if he's stifled offensively, that's going to be a big problem for the Rangers. Chris Kreider is playing today, but he's not 100%. Fox isn't 100%. There are, health issues with this team. And if the Rangers don't win Game 6, okay, now you have to go back to Madison Square Garden again for a Game 7, and now you're on the brink of being the 5th team in NHL history, potentially, to blow a 3-0 series lead. And that would, you don't need me to say this, but that would just be an unmitigated disaster for the franchise. Now, let's not go there yet. Let's stay to Game 6 tonight in a couple of hours. Obviously, the most, this is not rocket science here. They have to win this game. Sure, this is, I'm not breaking any news here. But overall, the big guys that are getting paid the most amount of money have to step up. Now, in practice, the reporters are saying that Trouba and Miller are back together as a pair. I tweeted this before a few days ago as well. Pierre Laviolette is in a lose-lose situation because he knows that Trouba isn't playing well. How do we know this? Couple of reasons. One, he moved Trouba down in the third pair at the end of the regular season, and he has stayed there up until presumably tonight. Who knows? On top of that, he has tried to skip over some of Gustafsson and Trouba's minutes and shifts whenever he could. He didn't do it a lot, but he had done it in this series because the Carolina Hurricanes have been absolutely feasting on that defensive pair for the last couple of games. It's been bad, especially in Carolina. Brendan Moore will send out Gensel and Aho and Svechnikov against Gustafsson and Trouba, and that has led to a lot of zone time for Carolina. He's in a lose-lose situation because he came in day one with Trouba having the C on his chest. He can't take it away from him when he comes in because that disrupts the locker room chemistry, right? And I don't even know if he wanted to do that. I don't know. But he couldn't, he didn't have the option even if he wanted to do it because that would have disrupted a lot of the locker room chemistry, the core that's been here for a while. They chose Trouba to be the captain. If you take away the C day one, that's going to cause a lot of chaos behind the scenes. Okay. He's your captain. That's he won the Mark Messier Leadership Award. I know Penguins reporters have been up in arms about it. That doesn't really make or break for me. One way or the other doesn't move the needle for me. You cannot sit your captain in the playoffs. You can't. Unless the captain is so broken that he physically cannot play the sport, you cannot scratch him. You can't. Because all that does is destroy, again, the locker room chem. If everybody was, an NHL 24 player and human emotions and human characteristics were not involved in this process, oh yeah, Trouba would have been gone yesterday. But that's not the case here. We are dealing with human beings that have relationships and friendships and chemistry and all these things. So you cannot, in good faith, bench Jacob Trouba, no matter how much Laviolette would even want to do that, or it's not an option at all. You cannot do that. If Jacob Trouba did not have the captaincy, I would have to imagine that Laviolette would have at least thought about it, especially given how poorly that pair played the last couple of games. Maybe we would have seen Zach Jones in by now, or maybe Chad Ruedel. Somebody in there probably would have gotten the game. But you cannot sit Jacob Trouba because he's the captain, and you cannot mess with that, with that vibe. If you sit Trouba now, and you lose Game 6, oh boy, now everything is messed up. Now it's gone from bad to worse. And, it's not a recipe for success. I would love to see Zach Jones in for Gustafsson. I would have liked to see Zach Jones at some point in this series. Gus has not had a particularly good couple of games either. I mean, granted, especially in Game 5, nobody had a particularly incredible game. But I would have liked to see Zach Jones. He can move the puck better. He can, he's got the skating ability that Trouba doesn't have. But again, you're not sitting Trouba, so this whole point is moot. The Miller-Trouba pair, as speculated, in the practice lines, did not work under David Quinn. They didn't work under Gerard Gallant, and it didn't work again with Peter Laviolette the entire season. The fact that they practiced together as a pair again is it to me reeks of desperation, because you have so much evidence to support the idea that Miller and Trouba do not know how to play with each other. That pairing on the blue line has consistently been one of the most volatile pairs in the entire NHL, where they might have one good game here and there or a couple of good shifts here and there, followed by complete miscommunication or a pinch up top and the other defenseman has no idea what to do, or they're stuck in between, or it doesn't work. It doesn't. And I don't say that because I want it to not work. I would love for Trouba and Miller to work as a pair. That would alleviate a lot of the issues on my end and a lot of the issues on the Rangers' end. It would be a win-win if today Trouba and Miller both woke up and realized how to play with each other on the blue line, and they became a great defensive pair, right? I'm obviously not cheering for this pair to continue to suck. Like that would be very silly. But we have a mountain of evidence, so much evidence. Like it's this high that 8 and 79 cannot play defense together when they're on the ice. The fact that Laviolette went back to that in practice now, will they stick together in game? Maybe Laviolette gives them a shift, and if it doesn't work, then he could always go back to what it was. Maybe. But to me, it's just not a good sign because, again, Laviolette has so much evidence to support the fact that this pair doesn't work. And the fact that he's going back to it means he's trying to find an answer for a question that cannot be solved. Where do you put Jacob Trouba? Because you tried to hide him with Gustafsson on the third pair, and you got dumpstered. You've got dumpstered the whole year with Trouba and Miller together on the second pair. Didn't work. You can't sit Jacob Trouba. I guess you could sit Gustafsson for Jones. Sure, I'm not opposed to that. Maybe that would have been a good option. Or if you wanted a more defensive pair with Trouba, then you get Chad Ruhwedel in there. That's fine. That's fine as well. The fact that they're back together again means that the Rangers are either not finding any answers on the blue line or are running out of options defensively. And I say that again because Laviolette on the bench has seen it, has a front row seat to that pair not working. He not just has a front row seat, like he saw everything. He saw that pair just have a miserable year, as we've seen that pair have a miserable year, with Laviolette, before Laviolette. So the fact that they're back together again means he doesn't know what to do now. And that's concerning for sure. But let's focus on the bright side here. The Rangers' goaltending has been spectacular. Igor Shesterkin, for everybody that was yelling about him in December, now, not without merit, of course, he did not have a great stretch. The December, January area, right? No one's arguing that. Some people were talking about trading him, doing all these ridiculous things. Shesterkin has been fabulous in these playoffs, and he needs help. All he needs is some help. Rangers have to tighten up defensively in front of him, and they have to generate more shots on goal as well. Game 5, they had 18 shots, 19. They didn't really do a whole lot. Now, again, you don't want to go the whole Carolina route of we're just going to shoot 70 times on the goaltender. 4 of them have any shot of going in, but the other 66 times make the stats look good, so we're just going to pepper the goalie with quantity over quality. Again, Shesterkin, that's not going to work. But against Freddie Anderson, he looked relatively okay in Game 5, but the whole series, he hasn't looked incredible. He hasn't been bad. I'm not saying he's been bad. But he hasn't been Shesterkin-level quality, right? Which, albeit, is not easy to do, sure. There's maybe a handful of people on the planet, if that could match how well Shesterkin has been playing these playoffs. But Anderson hasn't been incredible. He's let up a couple of bad goals. Even the 2-on-1, he wasn't, in Game 5, he wasn't super square to the shot. He left a lot of space on that blocker side. Trouba scored on it, right? So he is beatable. The Rangers have to put a lot of pucks on net, and they have to crash the net as well. We've seen Anderson throughout this series and against the Islanders as well be kind of uneasy when the puck is by his feet. He's been kind of not flopping, but he's been just not very set in net. He hasn't been very sturdy in those close quarters type of situations. One of the best ways to continue to attack that is to throw pucks on net and to go crashing into the paint, essentially. Obviously not into Anderson, but into the crease. Find a way to get those greasy goals. Find a way to get Anderson as uncomfortable as you can and force him to be uncomfortable. That's how you beat this team in Game 6, and then you go home, rest up. A lot of these guys need this rest. You got Game 6 of Florida and Boston. I think it's tomorrow. This is a massive, massive tilt here. The Rangers have to attack the net. They just need to do more. We need to see a big game out of Panarin. We need to see a big game out of Zibanejad. Trocheck has been incredible up until the last couple of games. He had a pretty rough Game 4 and a pretty mediocre Game 5. He's got to step up here. He's got to, be the pest that we saw in the first 3 games of the series. If this team really wants to go all the way, if this team is the team of destiny in 90, if you want to make the 94 comparison and all these things, if you want to add to the list of the platitudes and, and whatnot, they have to win this game. And obviously the locker room knows they have to win this game. Again, I'm not breaking any news. You'd rather win the game than lose the game. But in the context of what happens if you don't, it is not pretty, right? The meme of the two people on the bus, one staring at a wall, the other one staring at the sun, and up above it's, the person staring at the wall, the Rangers are winning 3-2, and the person that's looking up at the sun, he's all happy and excited. The Knicks are also winning 3-2 in the series. It's this meme. But it's how they got there that is causing that shift in focus, right? Where the Knicks are fighting and they're clawing their way, and Brunson's not healthy, and Anunoby is out, and all these things, and they keep winning. They were up 2-0. The Pacers bounced back. They won the next 2. The Knicks just won Game 5. That a massive, massive win at MSG. Hey, at least one of the 2 MSG teams took Game 5 seriously. Not the one that's playing tonight, but one of them sure did. And now that they're up 3-2 in the series, the Knicks vibes are pretty high. The Rangers, though, they're also up 3-2 in the series, but when you win the first 3 games and you lose the next 2, that's that definitely brings the mood down comparatively, even though the series scores are just the same, are the same across the board. I want to see a lot from Chris Kreider. The problem is that clearly he's not 100%, and we know this because it was kind of a question of whether he'd play. And he said today that he would play, and he's fine, and all these things, air quotes. But he's clearly been hurt for a while. We haven't seen the speed from him. We haven't seen the aggression out of him. He's been kind of timid, hasn't really asserted himself in the way that we know that Chris Kreider can. So overall, this is a make or break game for a lot of different reasons. Of course, for Carolina as well, the question becomes, well, if they lose this game, now how do they approach the offseason? They have a lot of UFAs, but now does Rod stay? Does he go? I feel like a lot of the anger maybe from Carolina management and from fans maybe have been tempered just a little bit because the Hurricanes have won the past 2 games. How that changes if they lose Game 6, I don't. It's tough to say, but it's definitely. I guess the moral victory is you'd rather lose in 6 than you get swept. Sure, but we're here to talk about the Rangers, and if you're really that team of destiny, if you are really this, the best team in the regular season, the President's Trophy winners, what was it, 55 wins? If you're really this powerhouse and you feel like you are a powerhouse, even though you didn't get the guy at the deadline like the Rangers love doing, than they have done in years past. Okay, you fill out your roster with Wenberg and Roslovic and Ruedel, and okay, that's great. If you're really this good of a team, if your team is that deep and you felt like you didn't need a big star, you can fill out your roster. And where also Hito played one game and he was out because he was sore, and now he's still not practicing. And I wish they'd be a little bit more upfront about like what's going on and why he's not playing again. But with Hito, you want to be as careful as possible with him. But at the same time, if he played, what was it, game 3 or game? Yeah, he played game 3. Then where is he? If he sits game 5 if he sits game 4 because he's sore, that makes a whole lot of sense. It was his first game in 6 months, no problem. Game 5, Rempe was supposedly not playing because it was Brodzinski, and then Brodzinski didn't even warm up, and then it was Rempe, and they lost that game. Okay. Game 6 now, Hedl is still kind of MIA. We don't really know what's going on with him. I don't want to speculate on these things, right? The Rangers want to be as careful as possible, but if he was clear to play in Game 3 and he was sore for Game 4, okay, if you want to say he was still sore for Game 5 and he was, he was sick or he was something, that's fine. It's Game 6. And there's a 2-day break between Game 5 and Game 6, and he's still somewhere in the ether. I just would like some kind of clarity as to what's going on. Like, if he's hurt, I know the Rangers don't want to say these things because, you want to keep the Hurricanes on pins and needles because Hedl's a good player, and he looked really good as the game went on in Game 3. I get that. I would just like to know what planet we're on with him, because the more the silence continues, the more I grow worried about his overall health. Forget about him playing, but the more they kind of just don't say anything about it, the more I'm like, guys, is he good? Are we sure that he's okay? But hopefully he's all right. Whether or not he plays, if he didn't practice, I kind of don't think he will. But who's to say about that? We'll know, in the warm-up rushes in a couple of hours here. But this is the do or die. Forget Game 7. Forget Game 7 for a second. This is the do or die for the Rangers. You don't want to get to Game 7, obviously. You shouldn't have brought it back to Carolina, but that's neither here nor there. You're here. Nothing you can do about Game 4. Nothing you can do about Game 5. The Rangers have to come out and make a statement. They have to score the first goal of the game, and they have to build off of that, especially in the first period, where Carolina has really started. Carolina loves starting the game off well, and the Rangers supposedly love finishing the game well. Well, Rangers have to do kind of both tonight. They have to come out in these first 10 minutes or so. If they score first early and they keep applying the pressure, it is going to tire out Carolina. Foot to the pedal, 100 miles an hour, you cannot stop. The second you stop is when the Hurricanes will come back, and then, then it leads to a precarious situation. This has to be the final game. Step on their necks. You gave them 2 games. If you want, the Game 4, close game, you came all the way back, Shea power play goal, you could live with that. 5th game ended embarrassingly. Carolina has a lot of momentum now. They have a lot of confidence. Step on their necks. win this game. Hopefully, the next time Nick and I talk to you, we'll be previewing the potential Eastern Conference final preview, the Eastern Conference final matchup. Hopefully, the Rangers are playing in that one. Because maybe if the Rangers get reverse swept, I might never watch the sport again. Like that's. But we won't talk about that. We won't talk about that. We just have to focus on tonight. They have to come out. They have to play aggressively here. They have to put a lot of pucks on Freddie Anderson, and you have to come out here and really show not just the Hurricanes, but you have to show yourself how you got here. The 7-0 start was fantastic. That's all fine and dandy. But the 7-0 doesn't matter if you finish 7-4. It doesn't. It's all well and good that you started, you won the first 7 games, you swept Washington, you were out to a 3-0 start against Carolina. That's all fantastic. But it doesn't mean anything if you can't close that Carolina. You have to step on their necks right now and do it in such a way that you prove to yourself why you're here and that everything that you did up to this moment was the correct, was the correct path. Everything that you did up to tonight's game is up for grabs with how the Rangers play in a couple of hours. It all comes down to this. Forget Saturday. Saturday doesn't matter right now. They have to come out and they have to win this game. Panarin needs a big night. Zibanejad needs a big night. Trocheck, I want to see more of what he did in the first 3 games where he was a pest. He, when Aho cross-checked him and then he turned around and yelled in his face when the Rangers scored. I really want to see more of that Trocheck in Game 6 here. This is it. This is the importance of the series. All comes out of this game. Forget Game 7. Forget Games 1 through 5. This is the Rangers' Game 7. They have to come out here and they have to win. Couple of hours away from puck drop.